Welcome everybody. My name is Colton from Zimtu Capital. Today I'm here with CEO of Core Assets, Nick Rodway. Nick, thanks for coming in again.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here once again.
So this is a pretty exciting time to have you in. You've got the first 2 holes drilled in the Silver Line project and the results back ever for this property. So congratulations. I think that's a big move, especially in the CRD world. It's almost unheard of. So when you're looking at these results, I don't know a whole lot about the metal results, and when I see 47% combined metal content, it seems a little bit crazy to me. So maybe you could just explain what the significance of that is and what you're looking at here.
I mean, it's like you said, it's been a long time coming here, and we had a long season, and there was plenty of successes that came out of it, and including our very first release on some assays from the Silver Line project. It's 2 of 15 holes, and it's 2 select intercepts within those 2 holes. So it's not the full holes, but the reason we did this was because it's double the cost to rush samples. So if you're to rush a whole hole or every hole, it can get quite costly.
Okay.
So what we did is we picked, with the experience that I have personally and the team now, with seeing these rocks at surface, because there's so much at surface that we've been talking about for years now, that we can kind of we got a gauge of what's good and what's not. So we selected 2 holes that they were different mineralogical textures there. So nothing completely the same as what we were seeing at surface, but
right.
Stuff that led us to believe that we could have some good grades there. So we selected 2 and put them in, and the rush assays came back within the given time that it was versus months and months of what it would be.
Yep.
And we just wanted to give ourselves it was about the investors and ourselves, and we just wanted to see if the grades are what we were seeing at surface or higher or lower. And it turned out that this Grizzly area, the 2021 discovery zone at surface, has some real nice juice in it, and we've like you said, 47. It's just over 47% metal content, and it's economic metals within that. So your galena, which hosts your lead, your chalcopyrite, which is your copper, and then your zinc is sphalerite, and then we have some silver tied up with our galena in there. So,
and you mentioned that the mineralization continues to depth. And that this is kind of giving you an understanding of the system's plumbing network. So maybe we could just have a quick recap on what the plumbing network for a system like this looks like.
So I mean, typically, I mean, they can be very complex,
right.
and being able to, seeing them at surface again is one thing. That puts you ahead of 90% of people exploring for CRDs. But making an intercept at a 58 meter depth of grade, like at that Grizzly area, of 2 meters or less, very significant. It's a big eye opener for the plumbing of the system, and the reason why is because the number 1 thing you should do with these projects before you drill them is surface map them, and that's very, very important with tracking these, because they're not easy exploration targets. So we did surface mapping, and so you always have some discrepancies after you drill with how your structure looks, and a lot of our limestone beds were much steeper dipping than we thought, but all of our holes and our drill pads were located in areas where we could cross-cut a number of different geological units in order to obtain as much information as we can. Because keep in mind, this is a brand new project. This project wasn't even mapped by the government because it was covered by glaciers back when. So the information, basically none. So we're just peeling back the layers, as we go here, and it's just every time we do something and put money into the ground, we receive back information, and so far it's been positive, and it just helps. It puts all the different pieces together. So making that intercept beneath the surface, I mean, it's a game changer, both geologically. I mean, in every aspect for the project is a game changer.
Yeah, and you've been mentioning, I've been following the story for a while now, and we've been comparing it to certain companies like Western Alaska Minerals or Bingham Canyon. So are you seeing comparables here with Core Assets and these other projects? Everybody knows the CRD belts in Mexico's. Like, what kind of comparisons are we seeing here?
Well, I mean, you mentioned too, I mean, it's actually easier to talk about probably the differences between those. Now, you mentioned a company and a project. So Bingham Canyon has been in production for over 300 years, and down in Utah, that is a porphyry with a CRD end member, if you will. And then your Western Alaska Minerals is more of a recent story, but it's been developing since the 1960s, from my understanding.
Right.
There has been some mining in that area.
Right.
Now, there are many similarities, right? There's carbonate replacement, there's limestone in both, there's polymetallic discoveries being made, but I think the difference is the main thing, and the difference is that we are starting. 2021, June 1st of 2021 was day one for us.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the 1600s. It wasn't in the 1960s. So our information at day one was based on grab samples, and when I stepped out of the helicopter for the first time on that Silver Line project, it took me less than an hour to be like, I think this could be a winner. This project, and that's why I enjoy running core assets so much, is because of the excitement that Silver Line brings. But yeah, I mean, you can't. It's very different in that way, that we had limited information, and we're, again, it comes back to the layers, right? Just building these layers and trying to get it up to a caliber of a something as good as Western Alaska, or say Bingham Canyon.
And you mentioned too, with projects down in Mexico, if there was any sort of mineralization that you're seeing up there down there, you mentioned it would already be mined out. This thing would already be taken over. People would be working on the project. So getting these analysis on these two holes, you mentioned, will help kind of guide the evaluation of those 250 mineralized zones. So what have you learned in that process?
So again, it comes down to the structure and the plumbing, and that's the key thing here. But not only, we hit the CRD in every hole in varying widths. Basically, anytime you're in a calcium-rich unit in this area, you get some sort of sulfide that's amalgamated through replacement.
Right.
But we also, let's not forget, now we tapped into a mineralized porphyry. And now that we're looking at some assays coming back here, and we're looking at our geochemical zoning patterns, we're starting to think that there could be even more than one porphyry center there. And again, it's hard to know right now because information is dribbling in, and we're just putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So it's a very complex thing, but once you get some assays on the table and you start looking at these things on a map, it starts to simplify. Yeah,
and so now you have 13 additional holes to get assays for. So I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg then.
Yeah, it's just the beginning, and again, it was all about giving us. We want confidence ourselves. Not just for investment purposes, but we want confidence, and just like the investors do, and we want to keep building the story and provide people with news. So. We're excited. We'll continue to have information coming into the new year, and then while we're doing that, we're bringing new personnel on here. While the markets are kind of in a lull here, we're actually hiring people on here to get ready for next year, because we know 100% we're going to be back there next year. So just the excitement is crazy. And another thing you mentioned earlier, there's over 250 visual sulfide occurrences on this property with carbonate replacement textures. And these are two of the 250 or more. So I mean,
and that's got to be unheard of. I mean, that to me that sounds like very rare, very unheard of.
It's definitely rare, and the main point to it, I guess, is just it's untouched. For a project like this to be untouched and not drill tested in the 1900s. Very abnormal, right? Someone would have came in and poked some holes, just out of curiosity for sure. So that is definitely hard to come by. Are there other places in the world where this may exist? Yeah, could be. There could be. Many probably undiscovered yet. Other glaciers, who knows? But we're lucky enough to get that in this area at the right time, and we're doing the work and we're getting results. So.
Yeah, and you drilled these 5,355 meters at the Silver Lime. I think you did how many meters at Lavadier as well?
Yeah, well, all together we did about, I think, 7,400.
Okay, and that was more than planned.
It was more than planned. It was another, 2,500 basically, more than planned, and we raised the capital to do so, and we're still in a really good capital position. So our budgeting has been working out well. lot of things have been cheaper than what we thought.
It's got to be hard to stop drilling when you're seeing such good mineralization, then, too.
You know, when stuff like that comes out of the ground, it's very unique, and I have a bit of a nickel copper magmatic type deposit background, so I'm used to seeing some pretty spectacular core coming out of the ground for those kind of things, and this stuff, you know, it doesn't even compare to that. It's so much nicer. You know, just aesthetically, the galena, and you get this bluish sheen there. And you know, again, when I saw that come out of the ground in the box, I'm very excited because it was even you know, more galena in it than what I've seen at surface, and I was just thinking in my mind, you know, about some of these samples that we've pulled with high grade silver, and I was just, you know, really hoping that we could get some, you know, over 400 gram per ton is what you want to see in these CRDs, and we you know, we went a little bit above that and some more, and it's a sniff of what could be coming, you know, so it's you know, exciting.
Yeah, so this is super exciting. I know that there's going to be a lot more information coming up, you know, of course with the assay labs and everything, it'll probably be a bit delayed and whatever, but like you said, results coming into the new year. Is there anything that investors can expect coming up before results, or is it just kind of getting results in, looking at those, and then figuring out what's ready for next year?
Yeah, we're going to continue to put out results as they come in. And we're not sure what manner they're going to go out, but we're going to try to build the story as nicely as we can here, and then, you know, at the very end, or maybe in the new year, we'll put out some modeling that we'll do some modeling, 3D modeling, and try to put the story together, and who knows what other things we're going to learn. Because again, until you get the geochem back, you don't know, right? It's just another piece of the puzzle. So the catalysts are these, you know, this 5% of our drill results are out now. So you got 95% left.
So tons of information to come. We're excited. We're obviously following very, very strongly on this, and we're going to keep everybody updated. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or leave everybody on?
No, I just, you know, it's a project that has some really nice upside right now, and the scale is there, and the grade is there. So we couldn't be happier to be pulling what we're pulling out of the ground right now. So
and I think that's a pretty modest answer there. So, like I said, we're excited, and we'll keep everybody updated. But I appreciate coming in to chat, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.